Welcome to panel as part of International Randevu Istanbul Film Festival, coordinated by Türsak, and focus country of the year is the United Kingdom. Subject of the panel is new generation TV series. We are focusing especially Turkish new generation Turkish series. Panel has been coordinated by cooperation of Türsak and PACT. Republic of Turkey Ministry of Culture and Tourism is our supporter. My name is Burhan Gün. I am the Vice President of Türsak Foundation. Also, I am the General Secretary of TESİAD, which is the most important professional association of film producers in Turkey. TESİAD is a member of FIAF and Global Creative Alliance. As a producer and attorney, I am coordinating professional activities in the industry of cinema, advertising, and series. We would like to express our graduate participants of panel, Mrs. Dawn McCarthy-Simpson, Mr. Louis Wakefield, Mr. Can Okan, and Mr. Ahmet Ziyalar. First of all, I would like to ask our guests to introduce themselves. Ladies first, and Mrs. Dawn McCarthy-Simpson. Could you say something about you?
Hi, yes, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dawn McCarthy-Simpson. I'm Managing Director of Global Strategy at PACT, which is the Producers Alliance for Cinema and Television. So we represent over 800 production companies across the whole of the UK, making everything from Sherlock to Downton Abbey, X Factor, and everything else in between.
Thanks. It's very short, very effective.
Oh, well, I could have spoken more. I thought I was keeping it succinct because I thought keeping it to the chat later on.
Thank you. And Mr. Louis Wakefield.
I'll keep to the tune and I'll try and keep brief as well then. I'm Louis Wakefield. I'm Head of Content Partnership Development at Myriad. Myriad are a technology company. We help producers monetize their content beyond just the money they receive for licensing by inserting product placement digitally into their content after production. And this, as opposed to traditional product placement, gives them the opportunity to remonetize it each time it's distributed.
Great, thank you, Mr. Louis. And Mr. Can Okan, can you say something about you?
Sure, I'm Can Okan, the founder and CEO of Inter Medya, an international distribution company, which I had founded back in 1992. We have recently started producing series as well. Our first production was in 2019 with a series called Behzat Ç, which is kind of like a cult series that was produced between 2010 and 2013. And lately, we have also produced a series which is called Saygı. In English, it's Respect. An 8-episode series, which is streaming now on Turkey's first and biggest streaming platform, Blue TV.
Thank you, Mr. Okan. And Mr. Ahmet Ziyalar, your voice.
I'm so sorry. Ahmet Ziyalar here. I'm the President and CEO of Inter Medya, and I have to copy and paste Mr. Okan's wording because we are working for the same company. And of course, you may understand that I do the same thing what Can Okan does.
Thank you, Mr. Ziyalar.
Ahmet actually is a friend of mine for over 40 years and my business associate for 10 years now.
And Can Okan is our board member of Foundation of Türsak at the same time. So all international operation doing by Can Okan for Türsak. I want to add that. And he is the member of TESİAD at the same time. I want to ask the first question to Can Okan for opening our panel. Turkish TV series have achieved great success in terms of export in the last 5 years. The Inter Medya company you own has a very important place in this success. Can you draw a panorama in terms of the countries that Turkish TV series are exported to and the values they create? In which markets are we participatively effective? Can you give some information about generally?
The Turkish series have started traveling around the world actually for kind of like 10 years now. The first market for us, it was the Middle East and North Africa. The Turkish content became a huge phenomenon there. And then with the Balkan region, we started entering Europe from the eastern part and started moving towards the west, including Central and Eastern Europe. And then Central Asia countries such as Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, etc. Now we are in over 150 countries. So this includes Latin America and the US markets. In the United States, we haven't yet started going on air with the Turkish content in English-speaking television stations, but in Hispanic ones. And our shows, they became, like one of them, for example, Endless Love, which got an Emmy award in 2017, yes. Has become a huge phenomenon in the United States on Univision. So basically, we cover almost the whole globe with this 150 countries.
Thank you so much. And I would like to ask Mrs. Dawn McCarthy nearly similar question. UK TV series and movies are exported to 200 countries, I think you say in your report. Right? I think you
over 200 territories. Yeah, I think pretty much everywhere in the world that we
all the world
our content.
So
we dominate the globe.
Yes. After US, you are dominant. Yes, they are quite successful. Can you give us a general panorama of your industry? Which countries are they exported specifically, and what are the numerical data generally, like at 200 countries? Do you have any strategy about as a PACT, or in terms of your industry people, or are my individual success stories entirely, you think? Does the state support this export? Can you give some of details about?
Well, first of all, I'll say that our biggest markets are obviously the English-speaking territories. So half of our programming that's exported out of the UK goes to North America. So that's pretty much half, about 500 million per year in exports. Australia and Canada, obviously key ones. And then Europe, we do very well in Europe. So thinking about the Nordics, France is our biggest exporting market. So that you start to think, well, actually, it's not, the language isn't necessarily a barrier, because if our second biggest export market is France, then clearly it's about something more than just language. And I think the markets that we don't do so well in are probably the markets that Jan has just explained. Latin America, we've struggled, to get into those Spanish-speaking territories. We do okay, but we've only scratched the surface, and we struggle to get into those. And what was interesting, I write a column for an international magazine, trade magazine, and I just wrote a piece on Latin America, and Turkey comes up continuously about the success and the output deals that are there, the co-production deals that are happening in Latin America. So I think we struggle in those territories. It's a lot of our drama travels really well. So a lot of people like the British drama, particularly in North America, to a point where PSB, the main sort of national network in US, has a whole Sunday evening dedicated to British drama. So it's one of the most popular things. When Downton Abbey first launched on the network, it saw its highest ratings ever. And we've been riding off the back of that success for many years. And equally, our TV formats travel really well. So there are two big selling ones. Coming in third is obviously documentaries that travel well. But I think this is, we've been talking for the past few days, and I think, I think where Turkey and the UK could work really well is that we export to some of the, the big markets, the US, the North America, which obviously Turkey needs to increase their presence there. But likewise, we need to get into those markets, the Middle East, Latin America. And I think this is where, jointly sort of working together on projects and co-producing to hit those markets, we can really help each other grow and fill those gaps.
Thank you. Can you give some information about Global Creative Alliance? We try to understand. I think this is important thing for your strategy.
Yeah, well, we've got numerous strategies. So we've got, we've launched a whole range of things for our members. One is a tool that helps just with growth generally. The Global Creative Alliance was based on, if you don't really understand the structure of how the UK works, we're a very small industry when it comes to the broadcast and the buyers that are in the UK. We've got a handful of them. And we own all the rights. So part of what we did is we lobbied, we managed to change the IP regime, that the producers own the IP and not the broadcasters. But what that meant is we then moved into an era where we were working in deficit finance. So we don't get 100% funding for any projects. So the need and the growth of being able to access other markets for co-productions, for pre-sales, accessing incentives, tax credits, etc., is just such an important part of what we do. So how do you meet all these people around the world? If we're saying we're exporting into 200 territories, how do we identify key co-production partners on the ground, and how do we find out that knowledge? So the Global Creative Alliance, which was launched in October 2018, we launched at MIPCOM, and was a way of bringing organizations like ourselves that represent industry production sectors, and bringing us all together in order for a way to collaborate closely and give us access that we could, work on co-production sessions together. We could get our members together in different platforms. We could meet at international markets. And then likewise, we could just share as heads of associations, just general knowledge about how things are working in our territory and share that market intelligence. So the Global Creative Alliance, we first of all identified who's our key markets. So obviously, France, North America, Australia, all the ones that I mentioned were really key. Then we started to identify, where's our potential growth markets? Where do we see the next co-production business growing? And that's why, we've since introduced India, and as of yesterday, Turkey is our partner. So that's kind of where it grew from, and what the importance was of being able to approach it more strategically.
Thank you, Dawn. I would like to ask Mr. Ahmet Ziyalar, why did they like Turkish TV series so much? Turkish producers are exported under the Turkish drama branded. Why did they love our TV series for Turkish drama, you think? Why is the reason why we are exported so many different countries and so loved there?
What I believe is it all depends on our stories and our way of storytelling.
Please.
Our stories, since geographically Turkey is in the middle of everything, and our culture has been influenced by different cultures, like the Western European culture, We are neighbors there. And on the other side, we are coming from Middle Asia. We also have our roots in the Middle East. And we have our northern neighbors up there, you know, Russians. And our culture has been influenced from different cultures for centuries. That's why our stories, I mean, whoever watches or listens to our stories can find something familiar with themselves. That's, I believe, is the main reason. Besides, I cannot explain, but our producers have a charming way of storytelling. You know, this is, I cannot name it, but this is something true, which I observed so far. And those two factors are the main reasons for our success. Besides the big efforts of distributors from Turkey, you know, we really work very hard, I mean, for years, for decades actually. And then the result is the success of Turkish dramas.
What kind of effect they did in their country to our series, do you think? From the cultural, social, or psychological? Maybe we distribute, especially Latin countries, and change their name, you know, for the babies, given Turkish names.
Yeah, Latin people and Turkish people, actually, I mean, Latin people and Mediterranean people kind of have the same, you know, attitudes, same feelings, same emotions, you know. We are very, very close. Very, very close. So that's the key for us to penetrate the Latin American market, I guess. You know, they're like us and we're like them. So we live like them. They live like us. So we have the same habits, including the TV watching habits, you know, of audiences. They're almost the same. That was the point. I mean, before us, before Turkish dramas, Latin people have been watching the Latin telenovelas for decades. And the Turkish drama, the classical Turkish drama, is kind of an evolved version of those telenovelas, I believe. So it all depends on these factors.
Thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Louis Wakefield, what genres in the UK producing mainly TV series and movies? What are the industrial reasons for its success in UK series and film exports, do you think? How does it have much a large production and export capacity? Why do you think UK contents is admired? Can you give us a general panorama in your side?
Yeah, sure. So I can only obviously talk to what we're across in terms of the producers that we work with and where they distribute their content. But I think Dawn made an interesting point before. Obviously, we've got an advantage from the get-go in that there are so many English language speaking countries worldwide, but that beyond that, there's obviously something more to it. It's the way in which we sell our content in between territories. I think that as Dawn also mentioned, the period dramas have proven, you know, there's a big appetite for them worldwide, especially in the US. And we saw that with the Downton Abbey effect. And it's always had that tradition with the BBC. Mm-hmm. Personally, we don't work directly with the BBC because they don't commercialize their content in the UK. We work with production companies who have a lot of output with the BBC. And we're talking to BBC worldwide about looking at those offerings externally outside of the UK. But I can only talk about what we're across, and that there's a lot of appetite. I think it's partly to do with the kind of the sophisticated mechanisms in which you've had larger conglomerates like Warner Brothers buy up subsidiaries such as Shed Media and expand their offerings, and the way in which they've then, resold their territories and expanded with local HQs.
Thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Can Okan, the panel focusing topic. What is the meaning of new generation TV series? You produced this concept. What are you aiming for with this? Why is the species needed? Can you give us examples and for this new generation TV series, and why do you needed that Turkish drama is not enough, you think, for exporting?
Turkish drama exports is, of course, more than enough. If we are talking about as a distribution company.
Yeah.
But the new generation Turkish series is meant to enter into Western Europe and the US English-speaking US markets, or bigger markets such as the Nordics, etc. As you know, the Turkish dramas, the classical ones, they are kind of like slow-paced and classical family stories and love triangles, etc. The new generation Turkish series are more edgy and bolder and much more on the higher end side, you know. And they are much more fast-paced, and the concepts are kind of like sexier, more criminal. You can show blood easily without any problems because they are being streamed on VOD platforms. And let's just watch a trailer first and then continue speaking about it.
Examples.
Yeah, can we please put the promo of Çıplak, which is called, I mean, the English title is Naked.
Vaz mı gideceğim söyleyeyim mi? Önüme gelen herkesle yatacağım. Herkesin parasını alacağım. Ve gallerde böyle istediğim gibi bir hayat kuracağım kendime. Krallar gibi yaşayacağım. Krallar. Biliyorum, Eylül bende.
Bir şey söyleyeceğim, bu kız Instagram'da gözüktüğünden daha güzel abi.
Sen öpmeyecek misin beni?
Deliyim kızım mı? Söyledim sana.
Bu saatte nereden yine zilli?
Bence birazcık evlilik stresi bastı anne. Korkma sevgilim. Sen böyle bunun küçük durduğuna bakma.
Oo.
Küçük fırtına bu, küçük.
Dün 3 gün kadar resmen buradayım abi, inanamıyorum.
Ben senin gibi birisiyle hiç tanışmamıştım daha önce.
Gerçekten kusursuz bir şeysin sen.
Hani karını aldatmıyordun sen? Ona ne oldu?
Sen sıfırdın.
Düşünmeyin lan beni, düşünme beni, düşünmeyin beni. Koyun ya! Yeter onu koyun, yeter! Yeter!
Eylül eski sevgilim mi? Tehlikeli biri mi? Niye söylemiyorsun bana ya?
Hiç mi torun sevgisi yok senin için? Evlenmeden önce sana bir çılgınlık yapalım mı?
Yani soyunayım mı?
Soy.
Babaanne senden çok umutluysun.
Yes, that's one of the examples. As we all know, the Turkish classical dramas, they are long ongoing, you know. The international version of those series are like 120, 130 episodes per season. The new generation Turkish series, they are between 6 and 10 episodes, and each episode 25 to 60 minutes only. So we believe that those are going to be more appealing to Western European countries, the United States, Australia, etc. So you may have understood why we call them new generation, right?
Yeah. Can you give the different examples? I think you have 2 more, Mr. Canol.
Yes, we can screen the second one if you like. It's called Interrupted, produced by Turkey's acclaimed production house, Tim's NB Productions, which produced in the past Magnificent Century, which became a global phenomenon. And this is their new generation of Turkish series.
Please.
yıllar önce bir ceset gömdüm. Ormanda. Dahası ben zaten ölüyüm. Ölüyüm ama başka bir beden.
Ozan, nereye?
Bulmam gereken biri var.
Ozan benim sevgilim de, her şeyim de. Ama sadece sevgilim değil, aynı zamanda kahramanımda da.
Aşk iki beden arasında değil, iki ruh arasında yaşanır.
Siktir. Bu kim lan? Sen kimsin?
Sana ikinci bir şans veriyoruz.
Yaşayacağım yani.
Evet, yalnız başka bedende.
Ne?
Bu durumdan kimseye bahsedemez. Asla. Kimse.
Ne söyleyeceğim?
Gidene bakalım.
Elif, sakin ol, tamam mı? Anlatacağım her şeyi. Yani Ozan.
Beyefendi iyi misiniz?
Sana verilen işi çözmeyi başarırsan o zaman bir şansın olabilir.
Geldi yine tipiniz.
Kadir! İşe geldiğin yok. Gidiş ucunda tuttuğun yok. İçki sende, kumar sende, karı kız sende. Dün gece bir gazeteciye çarpıp kaçmışlar. Ozan diye bir çocuk. Kim gidiyor? Ben giderim.
Evet. Sevdiğim kadın yaşadığımı bilmiyor. Üstelik her saniye beraberiz. Elini tutamıyorum. Seni seviyorum diyemiyorum. Gözünün içine bakıyorum ama söyleyemiyorum.
O seni seviyor mu?
Burada bir şeyler dönüyor. Biz de onu bulacağız.
Bence bu işin boyutları çok daha fazla. Her şey yeni başlıyor. Belki de ileride daha büyük şeyler olacak.
Ozan?
Sen tutuklanmaya mı çalışıyorsun?
Hayır. Sevdiğim adamın katillerini bulmaya çalışıyorum.
Ben bir cinayete göz yumamam. Madem yapmadınız gidin mahkemede anlatın derdinizi.
Ben Kadir komiser gibi şerefsiz de adi de yalancı da olurum.
Doğru mu söylüyorsun lan?
Şu çocuğumun ölüsünü öpeyim. Şimdi gideceğim, çıkacağım karşısına, her şeyi anlatacağım. Diyeceğim ki ben Ozan.
Ama ben ölüyüm değil mi?
Benim adım Başkomiser Kadir Bilmezse giderim bu adamı alırım. Tamam mı? Paşa paşa buraya getiririm. Sorgusunu yaparım. Oradan doğru deliye. Lan nasıl bir belaya bulaştım ben ya Rabbim.
Sevgilimle yatmak ne demek göreceksin lan?
Abi.
Bak ben bunların hepsini senin için yapıyorum. Bana inanması gereken tek kişi sensin, tamam mı?
Elif!
Benim de sana soracaklarım var. Hayatımda yeterince cevapsız soru yokmuş gibi. Bir de sen çıktın karşıma.
Hangi sorular bunlar?
Bak sakın bilmiyor gibi davranma. Bana yalan söyledin, gözümün içine baka baka yalan söyledin. Ozan'la hiçbir zaman sınıf arkadaşı değildin, aynı okula gitmedin, konsere falan da gitmedin.
En az senin kadar ben de onları bulmak istiyorum. Niye biliyor musun? Seni bu kadar üzdükleri için.
Dikkat et! Sakın bana tek bir yalan daha söyleme, yoksa o koca kafanı gerçekten patlatırım.
İnsanın başına daha kötü ne gelebilir ki?
Very good.
Everyone's blown away.
Everywhere is blown. The last one is Saygı, I think your production, your own production. Can Bey, your voice.
The last one is Respect, which is produced by our company. And it's on Blue TV, which is Turkey's first and biggest streaming platform. And we have very good reviews about the title, which makes us very happy. Let's watch Saygı, Respect.
Kim bunlar?
Polisten önce bulmamız gereken çömezler.
Ne yapmışlar? Saygısızlara savaş açmışlar.
Fotoğraftakilerin peşine düştün değil mi? Bulunca ne yapacaksın peki? Nasıl adam kesilir biçilir dersi mi vereceksin?
Ne oluyor? Erdem ne yapıyorsun? Birini öldürdüm ben de.
Gel buraya lan.
Ne yaptın lan orospu? Siz kimsiniz?
Olay yeri inceleme.
Niye yardım ediyorsunuz ki bize?
İki tarafa ayrıldı millet. Ben size hak veren taraftayım.
Halit, ipişleri yakalayacağız.
Savcım isminizi öğrenebilir miyiz?
Halit Mehmet Güçlü.
Adalet arayan herkes bizim gibi katil olup şanslı olmuyorlar. Adalet yok, biz varız diyorlar.
Biraz fazla tesadüf değil mi bizim adamı öldüreceğimiz gece?
Saf mısın oğlum sen? Her şeyi ben ayarladım.
Öleceksin, beraber ölelim.
Size yaptığım saygısızlıktan dolayı pişman mıyım onu mu soruyorsunuz? Niye bunun günahını ben ödemek zorundayım?
Çünkü bana denk geldin.
Neden yardım ediyorsun bize?
Sizin kadar cesur değilim demek ki.
Bana yardım edin, adınızı tüm ülkeye ezberleteyim.
Kapat!
Ne yapacaksınız bana?
Söyledim sana biraz ara vermemiz lazım.
Bu öyle bir şey değil Savaş.
Bu katilleri aramaktan vazgeçeceğiz. Onları kendi ayağımıza getireceğiz efendim.
Adam katilleri yakalayacağım derken toplumsal infiale yol açacak.
Savaş yok artık istemeyen.
Sen?
Ben istiyorum. Ya sen özgür olma zaten.
Bana saygısızlık yapıyorsun.
Ne haldeyim görüyor musun? Bu mu senin önceliğine?
Emniyet pusu kurmuş. Elini kurtar.
Cinayet işledikleri için mi mutlu oluyorsun? Yoksa sana benzeyen birilerini bulduğun için mi?
Ortağın nerede? Sevgilin nerede?
Devam etmelerini istiyorsun.
Savaş'ın kafası çok karışık.
Evet efendim, tahmin ettiğim gibi çıktı. İçeriden. Yapmayacağız artık, bitti demedik mi?
Savaş niye bağırıyorsun?
Senin içinden bir ses gelmiyor mu böyle? Eski hayatıma dönemeyeceğim diye.
Reytingleri 2 katına çıkarmazsan tüm kararlarınıza saygı duyacağım.
Kaçınmıyor ki, bir durdur. Tercüman çözer.
Biz bir şey yapmazsak öldürecek kızı, bir şey yapmamız lazım.
Siz bu işleri bırakmadınız mı?
Böyle bir durumda bırakamayız ama.
Ercüment çözer, güçlü bir iş adamı. Bence tebligatı göndermeyi bir daha düşün.
Benim bu adamın ifadesini almam lazım.
Daha ilk günden ben size söylemedim mi bildiğiniz her şeyi anlatın diye. Bir taksici doğradı. İzmit'te birleşim var.
Tanıştırayım. Polis.
İfadeye çağırıyorsunuz.
Bu 2 şahıs olay yerine hiç gelmedi. Ben acilen konuşmamız lazım. Dosyaların arasında senin fotoğrafın duruyordu.
Onu en son gören 2 kişiden biri de sizsin. Acil ekip gönderin.
Hayatını değiştirmek için dediğini durursun. Sonra hayat bir numara yapar. Bir bakmışsın her şey altı üstü.
Savcının kızı mı kaçırılırmış?
Bana güveniyor musun?
Kızını bulmaktan aciz bir savcısı.
O 2 katil sizsiniz. Kız da yaktım.
Önemli bir şey söylemek için gelmiştim. Savaş'a ulaşamıyorum. Başına bir şey gelmiş olmasın?
Kızımı gördüm. Onlar kaçırmış kızımı. Bu sefer haddini aştığını düşünecekler.
Göreceksin bak. Babası koruyacak beni.
Bizim zeminimiz hukuk olmayacaksa biz neyi tartışacağız?
Savcı Bey, size 2 tane katili vereceğim diyorum.
Sen kimsin?
Şah. Mat.
Speechless again.
It's the story of a sociopath that is stuck into unrespectful people, and whoever he finds around him unrespectful, he puts them in the so-called rehabilitation center until they cure. And if they don't cure, he simply kills them and has them buried, you know. So at certain stage, he meets this young couple. This young couple that have started also killing people that have been unrespectful or have done wrong things to other people, and so they move in a parallel way during the whole story. We are now in the process of writing the second season, the scripts of the second season of this title, and we are planning to go into production by June or July 2021.
Great, thank you. Mrs.
Yeah,
Dawn.
I was just going to say, because I can see in particular the interrupted and respect working very well across all of Europe, really. I can see the first one. I can't remember the title of it, but I think we should have had warning signs for any younger people watching. I can see that working in Latin America very well as well. That seemed to, having seen a lot of LATAM content when I've been stuck in hotel rooms there, that I would say that sort of, works very well. Across Europe, there seems to be, this thriller, suspense. People love that type of programs. And that's what we find of our programs travel really well outside of the UK. And one of the phenomenons when the Scandi Noir kicked off, and like The Bridge, which I personally loved, and that concept of dual language, so with the Swedish Danish, but actually it traveled and worked really well in the UK. And I think it opened up a lot of people being more comfortable with subtitles as well. So that was something relatively, a new concept. And obviously on the back of that, we have Channel 4 has a dedicated Walter Presents that's all foreign content, which is probably one of my favorite streams. And I watch a lot of French dramas. But the other side, even within the UK, we've started looking at that dual language, initially, rather than just reformatting or having somebody watch in subtitles all the time. English is this universal language, so that always works. So what we've found is, on the Welsh production side, which is, it's a different language, it's part of the UK, but it's a different language. And so they've experimented with lots of drama that have that dual aspect. So part of it is spoken in Welsh, but part of it is spoken in English. And actually that's worked really well because that's moved out of its own country and traveled really well globally. And I just wondered whether, as a producer or producers, whether that's something that you've considered thinking about, from a scripted point of view, having that concept of that dual integrated that just sits really, because I do think, programming sells much better if it's got that influence of a secondary language.
You gave us a very good hint, actually. We can start shooting our shows in English as well.
Well, particularly because, we've been talking a lot about co-production, and I think we all realize that co-production plays not just a financial part, but it's also that being able to, mash a couple of cultures together and make it work to a wider appeal. And I think that's what we're finding when we've done these co-productions. It means that the sensitivities to culture are also met from both sides, but that then just automatically gives it this much wider appeal. And as I've said, we export into over 200 territories. So everyone, there's usually some kind of recognition with the English language in all territories. And so having that combined Turkish English, that I think could work really well, because as I said before, we do amazingly in the US and Australia and places like that. You do brilliantly around the Middle East, Africa, as well as LATAM. And, just make you wonder, something that is joint, that dual language kind of merge, that would that have appeal to be, just generally globally anyway?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And just to build on what Dawn says, quickly, is that we are seeing an increased appetite for it in the UK. And I think Walter Presents is a really good point. But just to speak from our perspective, we work on a massive show in France called, 10% or Call My Agent, which we're seeing is being really picked up, internationally. And I, won't talk about the distributors there. But in the UK, it's getting really increased figures, and you're starting to hear about it a lot more. And that's a French-based language show. And I think, part of it can also be traced back to this kind of obsession with super prime drama in the UK at the moment. And people are used to watching shows like whatever it is, Game of Thrones or dual language shows, where even if it's not a real language like in Game of Thrones, they're getting more used to watching subtitles. And I think that's part of the reason why Walter Presents has been so successful in the UK, and why there's increasing appetite for dual language shows or you know, foreign language based shows.
I'm quite familiar with Walter Presents. They have also shown a lot of Latin American shows that were produced by HBO, and some Brazilian shows produced for HBO, etc. So we have also pitched our shows to Walter and his associates, and we're waiting for their response.
Yeah, well, I would say that both the Interrupted and Respect look like they would fit very well in that space, and that's as Louis said, you know, we're all obsessed with kind of crime and thriller and murders and you know, detective shows. So I think it just travels. I mean, globally, it works really well. But I could see those two. You know, there'd be two that I would definitely watch. I might watch the first one, but that's just purely just for interest only.
And Call My Agent actually is being produced in Turkey as a remake as well.
Yeah, no, I do know that. Yeah, it's I think Warner Brothers are doing it, aren't they?
No, it's actually a company called Yapım.
Okay.
They're producing it in Turkey.
Okay, I think maybe
they got the remake rights from this French company, and they're doing it here in Turkey.
Yeah, no, I did see it. I thought maybe they were something to do with the distribution, but yeah, I may be wrong on that.
Mr. Ahmet Ziyalar, do you want to add something about after this presentation?
Actually, I mean, I have the same feeling that, you know, new generation Turkish series shot in English and Turkish, maybe perfectly globally. That's my impression. So as a summary to wrap it up, I can briefly say this.
I wanted to share with you that we are working on a project together with a Spanish production company that we are hopefully going to co-produce with them here in Turkey. Actually, 95% of the show will be shot in Turkey and 5% in Madrid. And so this will be also kind of shot in 3 languages, Turkish, English, and Spanish. So that's the next step, and we are hoping to also cooperate with definitely with British companies as well.
Do you want to share something, or Mr. Can Okan, do you want to share something? No.
No, I mean we would love to also cooperate with companies from the UK as well.
Mr. Luis, can I want one question. Do you, if you compare the 2 countries, what are the main similarities and differences between Turkish dramas and UK dramas? Have you got anything about that?
Well, I don't know if I do. I can only speak through what I'm across. But what I can say is that, you know, beyond what we've already said about the appetite at the moment for foreign language-based dramas, we've branched into Turkey recently as a company. We operate with an agent who works on the ground for us there, which we do in territories where we don't have our own base. And we know that there's obviously in Turkey, it's a very, unlike a lot of regions, it's a very localized appetite. It doesn't tend to be a big consumption of UK-based drama compared to Turkish local drama. So we've done quite a lot of deals with Puhu recently in the last couple of months, and I think the quality that we're seeing out of Turkey is really strong at the moment, and so I'd say that, you know, they're very much on the same level in my eyes.
Thank you.
Can I just add, just from my perspective, and I think Jan really hit on this, is about the pace of the story, the pace of the production, the cuts, and it's, I would say, you know, we found that when we started to do really well in America or North America, is that the demand, we thought we had really fast cuts and, you know, get to the story quick, but you've got to be even quicker in North America. So we've had to speed up a lot of that. You know, you have to get to a storyline really quick. You've got to have that cuts. You've got to be able to capture that audience quicker than you would need to. And I think because, you know, my second home, as I've said previously, is in Turkey. So I spend a lot of time there. And, you know, what I found is that there does feel that there's a lot of very slow pace, you know, and that's fine. I think culturally that's what families love. They like to just sit back and relax and enjoy a story. I think coming out of that, it feels it's much more competitive to grab that audience really early. And I think particularly if you're aiming at the big networks, the Netflix, you've got to be able to capture that within, you know, minutes. You've got to make that feel really appealing. And the way we do that is kind of moving quite quickly. And of course, at the moment, we're mostly focusing on this Generation Z, you know, that age group. But I think when we start to think about Generation Alpha, which is those born after 2010, I think the audience, you know, will change even more. And so we're always, you know, chasing and following what we need to do. So I think just from my observation, having seen both sides, I would say it's definitely speed of story, speed in the production, the edit. It's I'd say that's the main difference. I think Turkey's got some amazing stories to tell. It's just I think we just need to hear them being told a little bit quicker.
Yes. And just to build on what Dawn said, I completely agree. And I think if you look at the models that are being used at the moment, it's very self-evident. You look at Netflix's, you know, 20-second snapshot of whatever you want to watch, which is kind of their Snapchat equivalent type, model. And then, you know, the new feature that they've added much to Hollywood's chagrin of being able to play at 1.5 to 2 times speed. I think that they're kind of building into the model that they know they're going to have to seduce those new generations to come, and that's what people are going to be looking for in their content increasingly.
Thank you. Now the last part. We have only 6-7 minutes. Question and answer part. I can get questions from our audience if they want to ask something to our participants. I can ask you. One question is to Dawn. How can we establish a co-production bridge between Turkey and UK? Dawn.
Oh, well, I think there's 2 sides, isn't there? There's one which is an industry to industry side, and I hope the Global Alliance will help us to forge more meaningful relationships and, you know, bring our communities, industries together. And then I think the second tier is thinking more about, you know, government to government, and thinking about more of an official, you know, potentially an official trade co-production treaty. So that's something, so that's something, you know, I worked with our government on the co-production treaty for Brazil and for China. And I know they're not quick fixes. They can take years to be ratified. But I think once you start to do the more official side, it just makes people inward looking. They'll start to look at those territories. So Turkey will look to UK will look to Turkey if there's a formal agreement. So I do think that there's 2 ways that I think we could make that happen. One is more the official side, the other is continuing that more activity between industries.
Okay. Do you want to add something from our participants? Because I haven't enough time. At 4 o'clock there is the other panel will begin. If you want to add something, we can finalize. Dawn, do you want to add something? Last words?
No, I think my last words was great about collaboration and getting a co-production treaty between Turkey and the UK. Let's bring on the collaboration, I think.
Thank you. And Ziyalar, Mr. Ziyalar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Wakefield?
No, I mean, I think the only point that maybe I didn't mention before is just we're going back to how the UK distributes its content. I think part of it is the knock-on effect of the deficit finance that Dawn alluded to. So, you know, there's increasing pressure now that, you know, partly because producers own the IP as a result of the structure, they obviously want to monetize it more. And obviously we can fit into that and trying to help them. But obviously with the structure being the way that it is in the UK and the deficit financing required to cash flow tax credits and etc., there's an increasing pressure to find those revenues from elsewhere now. And I think that you know, that we're going to see that increasingly more across the globe, especially with the big kind of distributors and exhibitors, you know, restructuring their financing plans. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a really interesting, that's an interesting point for us in the UK that we're exploring with Channel 4 and being part of their deficit financing. But I think it will be increasingly interesting for us in Turkey as well.
Thank you. And Janoka? Unmute. You are unmute.
Yeah, I don't have, I think we don't have any time left.
Yes,
so
only last word.
Thanks for organizing such a nice panel, and thanks for joining us, Dawn and Louise. And I hope we will see each other in face-to-face in the coming year or so.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all participants and audience. Hope to see you. The other panel will begin at 4 p.m. in Turkey. See you.
Bye-bye.
See you.